How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, not cosplay contact. We are not talking about cosplay. We are going to be talking about a horror movie franchise. I am joined here, if y'all want to begin, to introduce yourselves. We got some new faces, so we'll have them introduce themselves first, starting with Countess and Moth Daddy. Do you all want to introduce yourselves first?
Hi, I'm Countess. I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm a cosplayer and a horror movie fanatic. Almost said a whore, but horror, horror.
Hi guys, I'm Moth Daddy Pimp, from San Diego, California as well, cosplayer. Been a while, but here we are.
Next up, Lux, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Luxe the Drag Queen, and I am also in San Diego, California. And I am your Gordelicious gal. I am an avid lover of camp horror, specifically, and all things macabre, ghouly, and retro. So I am here to give all the tea about the Evil D.
Giggity. Elsa, I know you're pretty much a regular on this, but would you also like to introduce yourself as well?
Hi, I'm Elsa, or as you know, Ultimate Phantom, and I'm from my house. So, just here for all the shits and giggles.
Mm, yeah. But yes, we are going to be talking about probably one of my favorite horror movie franchises, well, aside from Resident Evil. We are going to be talking about The Evil Dead, from the movies to the TV show, and also give our little thoughts on the upcoming Evil Dead Rise, which comes out in April, which I'm looking forward to. So I will start with you guys, and then Lux, and then Elsa. So, Countess and Moth Daddy, how did you come about finding about the Evil Dead series?
Oh wow, for me, it was my dad actually that introduced me to the movie. So when I was younger, it was always like a big family thing. We'd go over to the family, aunts, uncles, whatever, and we'd always pick movies. And specifically, they liked campy horror films. And that's how I got introduced to Evil Dead. It was at a family movie night when I was younger.
Mine's not as cool, but my dad used to take me to Blockbuster. I would run to the horror section.
What's Blockbuster again?
Oh, I mean Netflix when it got mailed to your house. I mean,
Redbox?
Spotify. Redbox.
YouTube?
Our age is showing.
Not saying my age.
Oh,
But yes, and we had a rule though. I was allowed to watch any movie I wanted, but he had to watch it the first time with me. And I think he regretted it when the tree scene came, and I was like, Daddy, what's the tree doing?
He's hugging the girl.
I mean, if you've seen the 2013, the tree's doing more than that. And I've seen
The
that
tree
20.
better buy me dinner after.
The
let me
20
tell
the,
you.
the moral of the story for the 2013 one: don't do drugs, kids.
Definitely.
Lux, how did you come about finding about this B-rated horror film series?
Yeah. So I went to a horror, not a horror, a Halloween. Went to a horror's house. No. I went to a
Oh,
Halloween
you were over
party.
last night.
I went to a
Exactly
Halloween
what it was.
party a long time ago, early high school. And in the background they had on it, and then just happened that they switched it over to Evil Dead at some point, and it was the scene. Oh goodness, it was the scene where she's just sitting there laughing repeatedly, and I was like, she's serving, and I need to get more into it. So I ended up going back home and watching Evil Dead 2013,
Ooh,
which
do
was
it.
a massive misunderstanding of what Evil Dead was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I was turned off to watching the franchise for a long time. It wasn't until probably in my later college years that I got back into Evil Dead and rewatched everything and got into it, being much older and not as afraid of all the things, and not thinking about how she split her tongue on a knife.
Oh, the 2013 one.
It was a little tongue
That
action.
was it. That was it. said, and I shut it off.
Oh,
I
with
shut
the
it
with the with
Well, there
the
goes
with,
my number.
with the electric carver's knife. Yeah, I remember before I go to Elsa, I remember actually I went and saw that movie by myself when it came out in 2013. Because like I seen advertisements for it. It literally got the living shit advertised out of it on TV and
Yeah.
YouTube. So when I see it, it wasn't bad, but like yeah, the scene where she splits her tongue and the scene where she's in the shower and her back's getting all boiled and everything. And I mean, and another scene, but I'm not going to talk about that scene because that poor dog. If you know, you know. Elsa, how did you come to find out about this lovely cheesy horror franchise?
So, while discovering horror movies, we're probably being 10 or 12. I looked again. I went to the library because being broke sucks. And what do you know? Child's Play, uh, Evil Dead, and Evil Dead 2 were there. So I got them. Made sure my mom was out of the house and watched them.
Yeah, you had to do what most kids back then did. It's like, okay, parents are gone. I can watch this thing that I'm not supposed to be watching, whether it's a horror movie or another thing I can't say on here because of YouTube.
It's something that sounds like YouTube, but starts with a P after you. You know.
You mean corn? Corn Hub?
Yeah,
Pornhub.
Pornhub.
I love Pornhub.
A place where
Man,
the
corn
place
is
where, the place
awesome.
where,
Well,
the place
thank-
where you can go and buy corn.
No,
Exactly.
it's recipes for corn. Like,
Anyway,
You girls
you
want a little TikTok,
you had to wait till your mom left so you can watch the Evil Dead 2 movies. Spoiler. they're
also my
pretty much-
brother, because he was a snitch as well.
Oh, so it's like okay. So if you don't tell on me, I'll let you watch the movie. Is that what you had to do? Nope,
I had to wait till he got out to do something. Like, perfect.
Ah, was it a younger brother or older brother?
Older brother.
Aw, no, you're
See,
no
Arthur
fun.
the Aardvark was right. Lots of fun with your library card.
I wish my library was that cool.
You just got
I've never heard of a library having horror movies. Like I said, when it came to
Same.
watching horror movies, especially old ones like that, not showing my age here, you either had to go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video.
Yep.
yeah.
My experience was always I would walk through Blockbuster, especially when I lived back up in Washington. We would always go every Friday and pick out a movie and everything, and I would always walk the aisles just scared out of my fucking panties of all of these covers and everything.
Oh,
and
yep.
Dead. You know,
Aw.
and it's funny you mentioned the horror movies at the public library because my big whoa find at the public library was all like the gaming cheat code books.
Yeah.
You know, the big thick ones that like.
Oh,
they're
I
like-
remember. I remember the ones where, like, at the end you can also write in cheats too. Yep, I remember those.
Yeah.
Listen, all we got in my library was Goosebumps. That was like the scariest thing you had in my
Oh.
library.
Oh yeah.
I ate
We're all
Goosebumps
showing
up
we're
like
all showing
cereal.
our ages here.
I
Okay.
guess Oregon has the best libraries. I mean, the best horror movies when it comes to libraries.
Yeah.
Well, most of the library films aren't they through donations? So maybe
Mm.
It's like
Wait,
someone
really?
just like someone like
I think so.
I mean, someone like, you know what? I don't want these horror movies anymore, so I'm just gonna give them to a library.
Because our Blockbuster, except one.
Oh, there's I think like the last Blockbuster's what in Oregon?
Yeah, in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah,
Oh.
there's
Yeah,
a
there's
there was a documentary movie about that made, which I've yet to see.
And the TV show.
Really good. It's really
Oh yeah, the
good.
TV show.
Oh, yeah. But so yeah, we are going to be recapping the Evil Dead series, and we also, just for the shits and giggles, may also talk about the Evil Dead game that came out last year, just because I saw it and it looked fun. I haven't played it yet, but it's on my list of games to play with friends. So Evil Dead, the first one, directed by Sam Raimi. I also found out something interesting, that there was a sort of prequel to the first Evil Dead movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I was told about it, and looking at the quality, it was really bad. I think it was called Into the Woods or something.
Into the Woods.
No.
No, Knock at the Cabin.
I was like Meryl Streep. No
It's
wonder
Army-
she was familiar.
Army of Darkness.
Not Army of Darkness. Let me look
That's
it
a
up
sequel,
real.
not a-
Let
Oh
me-
wait, that is a sequel. Excuse me, my bad.
So what it might be, so Bruce Campbell and I just forgot his name,
Sam
who you just
Raimi.
said who directed. They actually worked on it together. They both had an idea to do this film. All the money came from friends and family that put into this like $500,000 budget. But they already together had written some sort of screen thing. So I think they did have like a even lower budgeted kind of like pre-shot of it.
Yeah,
Coming
yeah.
out.
I can't remember the
Yeah.
name of it, but yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of like how Scream went through a scary movie and then they
Yeah.
scrapped it. And
oh yeah, Scream was originally going to be called Scary Movie, but that name got
Mhm.
scrapped, and we got like 6 spoofs of that. But again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Evil Dead 1. I haven't seen that
Exactly,
movie in
yeah.
a long time. I'm mainly going to be hosting this and probably throwing a few things my way, but starting with Countess and Moth Daddy. How old were you when you first watched the Evil Dead movie, and what were your like thoughts of it when you first saw it?
Um, oof, geez. Let's see. I think I was about, I want to say like between 9 and 11. I was very young. I remember that. But, I fell in love with it. I was never scared of it. I think it was just funny to me. Like just the effects of behind it was just funny to me. The I guess would you say the special effects of it?
All
I
practical
went
too.
yeah, it was just like I was in love with it. I was like, okay, this is awesome. I want more.
So I think I saw it roughly around between 12 and 14, because I saw my first horror movie when I was around like 9 or 10, because of Robert Englund and I'm around Elm Street. Robert Englund stayed at the hotel that my dad worked at, and I asked, who is he? I met him. He's nice. And my dad's like, well, come here, let's watch this and see what, how you react to it. So I picked it out and we had the role, we watched it together the first time, and I think there's something wrong with me as a kid because I was like, wow, Ash is really hot. Like he was like, I was crushing on him, I was crushing on Freddy Krueger, all this stuff. So after I got over, the pubescent girl crush of the man himself, it's kind of like what she said. The first one wasn't as humorous as the second one,
Oh no, the first
obviously,
one was
but
more like actual horror.
A bit more
exactly.
serious, yeah.
But I thought the concept was interesting because at that age I was already comparing this cabin film to like another cabin film like Friday the 13th or Sleepaway Camp. So I was already kind of like critiquing it at a young age, but I know it caught my interest so much that we actually went and bought the movie poster to hang up in my room. Had to take it down. My mom came over though, but
Nice.
interest.
Speaking of Evil Dead, I think it was a sequel. You actually see Freddy Krueger's knife
Yes.
glove, and
Yes.
in the Nightmare on Elm Street, you actually see a poster for Evil Dead 2.
Yes, so they did that as
Mhm.
kind of a thank you because it's all about word of mouth when it comes to things, especially back in the day where internet wasn't as, prominent or existent.
Mhm.
So
Mm-mm.
it was just kind of like a thank you that they both had between producer to producer.
And
And
if
a
I'm
lot of horror movies you'll see little snips like that, like even like Hellraiser.
Mhm.
So it's nice to see the community being so supportive of each other, which I think is something that stands out with horror.
Oh no,
Yeah.
most definitely. And I think what the first Evil Dead film almost got an NC-17.
Yes, so he actually almost had that rating, but he also had to go to court because I think it was in the UK they sued
Yeah.
him
Mm-hmm.
over the content of it.
Oh
So
yeah,
the second one,
a lot of horror movies got 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 that. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust got that too, but
oh
we're
yeah,
Well, most specifically the tree scene for yeah.
the tree scene,
40 years later, that scene wouldn't matter in the 2013 reboot.
yeah, well he actually went on to apologize because he didn't mean to upset people
Yeah,
so
I
much.
remember watching his interview
Yeah,
on Dead Meat about that.
but it wasn't that part that actually got him
The axe.
fit for it. I can't recall the exact scene, but I know in the second one they actually made it as a shadow, as an off scene, so it still happened since the second one was just basically a remake of the first one. But
Just he got the licensing to it, I believe. Oh no,
yeah, but
it was oh god, who produced the second one?
I don't think he actually got the licensing because the first 15 minutes he had to basically recap it, and that's why the movie goes so linear and then it goes whoop, because they wanted to use clips of the first movie. However, they weren't allowed to do that because they weren't able to get the full licensing for that film. Think of like Child's Play.
Paramount Pictures is the one that distributed the official Evil Dead.
Yeah, but a lot of horror movies do that, like Child's Play. They will never have the rights to the first film, but they have the rights
Right.
to
The
everything
TV
going back.
they have the rights to the TV show.
Yes, and all the other movies from the second one back. It's just that very first one, which is why they were able to replicate it, which is always tricky with a lot of these horror movies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Lux, how old are you when you saw the Evil Dead first movie, and what were your thoughts?
Oh goodness. So I saw the first Evil Dead movie in 2018, and it was because a few friends of mine from college were in a production of Evil Dead the musical.
I've heard.
Yes.
I'm familiar. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, the Evil Dead musical you're talking about. If you're in the front row, aka the splash zone, you get. Yep, they did that here. They did that here. They did that here in Oregon a few years back.
No kidding.
Same year.
No kidding.
Same
They
year.
do it.
28
They
same
do
year,
it here every year in San Diego at the 10th Avenue Arts Center.
They do it.
Friends
They
of
did
mine
it here a
have
while
gone
back
very
in
long.
2018. Bruce Campbell actually
Yeah.
went and saw that.
So we were all hanging out, and they were like, they actually suggested that we watch this movie to do some character study for the musical, to get familiar with the musical without having to muddle it up with like all the tracks and the musical's own humor and everything. So we sat down and we watched the whole thing beginning to end, and I was just giggling my ass off because the rigorous camp and the fact that I can't take anything seriously. And especially going back and watching it again after seeing the musical and getting soaked in blood, which was so wonderful.
Yes.
It's because they
Careful,
moved
it's
us up to the
asbestos.
front row on the last day. We came in, they were like, hey, some seats opened up in the front row, do you want to go sit there? And I was like, hell yeah. And so they put us in the front row, and they made sure to vomit on us and to bleed on us, and they had everything. But going back and watching the movie after that, it just got so much better, because it's so fun and it's funny, and it's like, I saw a recent interview describing Evil Dead Rise as dark humor, and I was like,
Oh.
if this is dark, then I've got a problem.
Oh no!
Because
I've seen
I
Evil
think we
Dead.
all do.
I've seen the trailers for Evil Dead Rise. It's not getting enough promotion, in my opinion. I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff on it except for like YouTube. But
so sorry,
go ahead.
sorry, please
Go ahead. Sorry.
So I work at a movie theater. When I'm not doing this, I work at a movie theater, and I have had to deal with the poster that they have, which is this awesome poster of her holding the kids, and it's like, mommy loves you to death. And it's very unsettling for the guests that we have in our building. I get comments all the time, actually, that are like, hey, that poster really upset my kid. And I'm like, I couldn't give a fuck. But but I think that plays into why the movie isn't getting promoted so much, is because I think it's.
I mean, hell, look at Evil Dead 2013. That movie got the shit fucking from like a lot. But I get it. Like I understand why. Like I seen the trailer, and that's like, watching the trailer kind of reminded me of the 2013 remake. It's like straight to the point horror. Like
You feel like you shouldn't be watching it. It feels dirty,
But I mean, even like, I think what Bruce Campbell even gave his thumbs up for it too.
Maybe we'll have a cameo with him, because I mean, we did have a cameo with him in the last remake.
Oh yeah, at the end, and we even got to see a cameo of his car too in the 2013 remake. Yeah, that movie did not go any worse after that.
Nope. Which
is kind of ironic, because 10 years later we're getting another Evil Dead revival. It has nothing to do with the movies, nothing to do with the remake. I think at this point it's them trying to restart the franchise, so we'll see where that goes. And this one takes place in an apartment building, not a cabin.
Well, with these rent prices, who can blame you?
We're gonna make it
A
real.
cabin in the woods? What are you, Martha Stewart? Not in this economy.
Fucking right. Elsa, how old were you when you first saw the first Evil Dead movie, and what were your thoughts as a kid? Like wee little Elsa watching it.
Little, probably 9-year-old, 10-year-old, something like that. When I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it was a lot to take in. Like, first seeing the Necronomicon, and then seeing this lady getting possessed, and then the tree, and then what the fuck? Like, everything. And then
not to mention Ash's friends too in the first one.
Yeah, it's like English. My brain hurts, but like, yeah, what was that? The guy's name? Like, he literally died from nothing after a cough.
Yeah, he just laid down and just slumped and died. I'm like, me too.
Yeah, like,
Isn't that how most adults feel at that point in their life?
That was the most realistic killing I've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, especially in a while ago, but we won't mention that. So like, my brain's like, what the fuck just happened? Like, why didn't the guy just gallop and fight like his other friend? But then, like, I put a pause on it, obviously. But then a couple of years later, when I was a bit more mature and starting to watch a bit more older horror movies instead of the newer ones, I was like, oh, that makes perfectly good sense. Like, why he did it and why his hand got cut off. And that tree scene still traumatizes me. Not as much nowadays.
And we'll be comparing that one to the 2013 version. if you yeah. So back to Countess and Moth Daddy. What would you say some of your favorite scenes were in the first Evil Dead movie?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I can't remember much of it, honestly. I mean, I think the one that sticks to my scene is when I think it's his friend or his girlfriend, I can't remember, or it's his sister I think it's his sister who's trying to get out of the basement when she keeps on pushing the thing up and down and they're all laughing at him. Great makeup, by the way, for a low budget film.
Yeah, Chris Brown and Rihanna were just wonderful in that role. Like, oh, did I say that? I'm canceled now. We'll edit that later. Chainsaw. So my favorite role. Now I'm somebody. Just a little quick backstory. I love the weird and the controversial stuff when it comes to horror. I've watched Siberian Film. I've watched American Guinea Pig, August Underground. So it really was the tree scene for me because it was so controversial that movie.
Which I can't show, by the way, on here.
Okay, let me reenact it for you. But
this is the wrong kind of channel for that.
I know, right? After show. But the fact that horror movie, especially in that time, had that much balls to do something so risky and so controversial, and the actress didn't even know what was happening. Like, she knew the tree was gonna like slide up her leg, but she didn't know it was gonna be like full on poop. And let me tell you, that tree had more mans than half the Tinder dates I've had. But like, it was an interesting scene, and I like the controversy of it to stick in everybody's mind. Even if you've never seen Evil Dead, you still know that scene. So
a lot of horror movies are like that, especially the scene in the first Texas Chainsaw where the camera is following the girl and she's, you get in a clear shot of her derriere.
Exactly. And I mean, there have been similar scenes like Jack Frost with the snowman in the shower with the
bathtub scene of Jack Frost. Or when the Jason worm is going up that lady's skirt and Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
A lot of but yeah, no, Evil Dead I feel like kind of stuck,
Yeah.
like just like even Sam Raimi's like, yeah, that was a mistake doing that.
Yeah, because I mean, it was something very controversial and very upsetting to people, but at the same time, I feel when you watch horror, it is supposed to kind of push your limits on it. So even though it's not something that obviously we're going to glorify and be like, wow, like, let's promote that, it was still such a iconic scene in its own sense that everybody knows about it. So I'm not saying it's my favorite, but it definitely is the one that stuck most with me on that.
I gotta agree with you.
I think, yeah. I take it you already is. What about you, Moth Daddy? Same answer or different
I
answer?
have to agree with her, yeah, because I'm just like trying to think back, and I'm like, that's the one scene that you always kind of just think about it, and it's just, you know what? That's the one that resonates with me. You
That's
get to the point where it's like, did I want to be the tree or the actress? I don't know. Joke. But yeah, I gotta agree with her on that.
fair enough. Same question for you, Lux. What was your favorite scene, and what part of what about that scene stuck with you the most?
I think for me, I gotta go with the classic. The very first possession, "You're all going to die tonight." I that line alone for me is the summation of everything fucked up about the Evil Dead. You know, your sister just turned and looked at you and said, "You're all going to die tonight. Make your choice." You know, and for me, that's always been the part that's really jumped out at me, and all the craziness towards the end. Um, I love moments in horror movies where the shit starts hitting the fan. So that moment and the first clue into everything that's going to be happening later, when especially that scene where like everyone will just not stop making noise.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, real quick to look at all original cast members from the first Evil Dead movie. Like look at them brows on Bruce Campbell.
Wow.
They are
Whoa.
so young. Look at that hair on Bruce.
Mhm.
He was in his 20s at the time.
Yes.
And can we appreciate the fact
Fun.
too, he did all his own stunts for all
Yeah,
the films.
we are
Yeah.
going to be talking that about
Mhm.
the specific scene in Evil Dead 2 when we start on that one. But yeah, the thing we're talking about is when Linda was saying you're all no, Linda's his girlfriend.
It's it starts with a C.
Carol, I think.
It,
I'm looking it up right now. But luckily I got IMDb.
Teamwork.
Cheryl.
There you go.
Carol, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Linda was his. There's Ash, Cheryl, Scott, Linda,
Cheryl.
and
Cheryl.
Shelley.
Cheryl.
We know her, girl. We know her now.
Shelley was Scott's girlfriend.
Also, I thought it was convenient how it was 5 souls that needed to rise, and there's just 5 people there.
That's usually how it goes. It's the setup.
Oh yeah, I can't argue with that. Elsa, what was your favorite scene, and what about that scene stuck with you?
So I had to quickly look it up because I'm weird like that. But my favorite scene is gotta be "We're gonna get you." Like, you know that one scene?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm.
okay. So the thing that like stuck to me is like, because you know how like Ash is like questioning like what the fuck is going on here and what the shit is, and then he started slowly realizing it's real. It's not like a dream or anything like that. So that's like the one moment that like, oh my god, that is amazing and very unique storytelling.
So I know you're all into makeup and everything, and I want to talk about the special effects makeup. Back to Countess and Moth Daddy. What did you think of the special effects makeup, especially for the makeup for the Deadites?
I thought it was just for the era that it was done in. I just feel like it was done so beautifully and so cheesy that it makes the film. For me, it's the effects that make the film. Just
I mean, right here's the picture of Cheryl, I think, or like one of the two. But here's a look at the Deadite makeup for the time. Like
Cheryl.
the contact lens, all practical. The blood, the contact lenses, the makeup, like oof.
I think people tend to not realize too how much work and effort goes into makeup, into special effects, into all of that. That you see something like that where you're like, oh, it's just some, white face paint and like a splash of blood. When in
I
reality,
mean, look at
it's built.
Scott's.
Mhm.
It's just all that detail. It's like you think it's just a slap on, but it's not. It's like it's
No.
hours of work.
I mean, for all of you guys who've done special effects makeup, whether it's for drag, cosplay, or even prosthetics, like how long that could take.
Yeah, just like the on and off. Like, I'll give you an example for something everybody knows. Jim Carrey and The Grinch, it took him 8 hours to get in and 8 hours to get
I
out.
mean, look at Robert England. They got it to where they could just easily get it on and off within just a few hours.
Mhm.
So the fact that at that time when, I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff is, just starting to be learned, just starting to be developed, because if you take a special effects class nowadays with all the improvements and, easier ability to get props made and sent to you versus having to make your own latex, make your own gouged out eye. You can buy that stuff. Anyone can do it basically nowadays. But back then they had to sit there and mold it from scratch, which is what's
Figure it out.
impressive.
Not to mention, I'm sure Sam Raimi just has to ask his friends because having the money to hire professional makeup artists like Tom Savini
Oh yeah.
or V Neil at the time would have been impossible. So it's like ask your couple friends, pay them a couple bucks, whatever, or for free, and just
And you'll be surprised what you can do. I mean, you can take latex and toilet paper and your normal skin color
Mhm.
foundation, and you can make a zombie bite just that simple. So,
Yep. Good
it
old
could
good
be
old good
something
old
so
TP
cheap under.
method.
Exactly. So, it could be something as simple as that, but on camera, when you're in the distant and far away, you're just like blown out the mind. And that's one thing I will give credit for the Evil Dead is through the first film, the second film, Army of Darkness, to Ash versus the Evil Dead, when it came to makeup and it came to special effects on like the
All
puppets and
practical.
stuff, everything stayed the same. Everything was the same. It
That's what
wasn't
I like
heavy
about Sam.
CGI.
He likes to keep as little to CGI as possible in a good chunk of his movies.
And fun fact, just to throw out there too, the window that they crashed through in the second one was a real window. No glass,
Mm-hmm.
no
Yep.
sugar glass, real glass.
Real
So
Yep, same method in Friday the 13th when that one girl stunt actor was played by oh God, I just said his name too. He's a well-known makeup artist.
Tom Savini.
Tom Savini, yeah, that was him who crashed through the window in Friday the 13th for this
Mm-hmm.
for the girl in the pajamas, like you could tell. But yeah,
Yeah.
no. I think that's one thing I like about classic horror films. It's all practical and there's no room for error if you want to do it if you want to do a second or third take. Like if you
Mhm.
can't if like you gotta work with what you're given.
And under latex, under all that stuff, it's hot. It is very hot
Oh,
and sweaty.
we'll be
So
talking about that for Evil Dead 2 when it comes
yeah.
to
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's brother Ted Raimi when he had to wear
Being
that
Helen.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I I learned a lot of interesting stuff from watching Dead Meat's podcast. Shout out to Dead Meat, by the way, about
They're amazing.
Evil Dead 2. Lux, same question. What were your thoughts on the makeup, the special effects done for this film?
Oh, I mean, absolutely incredible. Just what I love is a few things, especially about the makeup that is chosen and done for the Deadites. It always seems like a few things are kept in mind, right? They kind of vary between like completely non humanoid creatures, like Autumn, you and I were talking about the gal from Ash versus Evil Dead, where she's talking about getting kicked in the land down under,
Oh
and
yes.
it's everything from totally gory sleaze bob to like just a little around the eyes, and that's what I love. It just changes constantly, and especially with this film, I had to appreciate, because I believe in the Evil Dead, the Deadites have this total lack of respect and understanding of the human body. I feel like that they really met that challenge of bringing this to life and bringing this horrific imagery and staying with it for so long, and they always seem like they're running towards the challenge. And I love how, especially for Cheryl, there is a face, there is kind of this image associated with the Deadites and what their eyes look like. That's what I always picture when I think of the Deadites: the eyes and the hands from the original poster. The one where they're coming out of the ground. I just think of those nasty claws. Oh, oh my goodness. That's how my hands look when I get out of makeup.
Oh yeah, and
Well.
here's an earlier look at Cheryl's makeup when she's slowly turning into a deadite before she's what we see here underneath the cellar door. Like here's a look at like when she's slowly turning into a deadite.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just simple. I mean, for anyone who's watching this, for you, what do you think they used for just this the deadite turning? If anyone wants to answer, like what
Well,
makeup do you think they used?
That looks
probably-
like my Lisa Frank palette from when I was in the 8th grade on history
Do you
day,
think Lisa
so
Frank?
got
Yeah.
some blue eyeshadow in there.
every
There we
person
go.
when I was going out of 8th grade, we had the blue and the red lips, and somebody told us that we looked good. So
Don't forget the shimmer.
Oh yeah, I mean like
Not the shimmer, not the shimmer.
I mean her look from that to to oh here it is. So from that and I'll be showing a comparison from that when she's like full on like deadite.
Mhm.
That's just like layers and layers
That's me
kicked
right
on
after I
her
blew down my eyebrows.
on her like that's just like layers and layers of like caked on who knows what kind of makeup.
my high school goth phase. So
I mean, like you can tell, like there's like there's like in each Evil Dead series, there's like the stages of Dead. There's like when you're
Yes.
slowly turning into it to where you look like an extra from I'm trying to blank on his name from
You can do it.
he was he directed Night of the Living Dead, and I'm kind of feeling that.
Arrow.
Yeah.
M. Shyamalan.
Yeah.
M.
Not-
Night Shyam-
Not
M. Night
no
Shyamalan?
Night of Dawn of the Dead. He had big glasses.
I'm bad with names.
Dawn of the Dead.
I don't remember her name sometimes.
The first Dawn of the Dead or the second one?
First one I'm looking up is
George A. Romero.
Thank you. Shelley's second Deadeye look kind of looks like an extra from George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead from the 60s.
Yeah.
Or
I
the
would
night.
be surprised if inspiration was pulled.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
definitely.
sure because that came out. That Night of the Living Dead came out like 20-ish years prior.
Mhm.
And can we give props for the actors and actresses with the contacts?
Oh, the
'Cause most of them were blind.
blind contacts too. And I've
Yeah,
heard
they
stories.
were blind. They could not see, and like
I like to know where they got.
cosplaying and wearing.
I like to know where they got those blind contact lenses, because especially for the time given, like.
Well, let me plug myself in real quick. If you go to Moco Lenses and use code Kinky Pinky, you can get 10% off and get yourself some blind mesh contacts.
Link in the description below for 10. What you said, 10% off?
Yep.
10%
For
off.
10% off
code,
if you
Kinky
put in
Pinky.
kinky. Okay, what was it again? One more time.
Pinky Pinky.
For 10% off. Link in the description will be below. for that.
Moco Clean Lenses.
Elsa.
Shameless.
It's always a good time for a sponsorship.
Hey, if
I already
anyone,
got the sponsorship. I'm
if
trying to
any-
make my coin off of it.
If anyone wants, if anyone has a sponsorship on here, feel free to let me know. I could drop in the description below.
Well, let me give you my OnlyFans and my no, I'm kidding. My foot finders and
Ooh, YouTube's not gonna like this.
Yes,
I don't
the
care.
contact.
Though. Elsa, same question. What were your thoughts on the makeup for this film, the special effects?
The makeup was actually, even though it was very, very simple, it was like English. It was just iconic for that time. Like, it can't be compared to like Robert Englund, obviously, because his makeup was professionally done. But for the time, for having such a tiny, tiny budget, was amazing. And again, props to the contact lenses. Just click on the link and you'll get 10% off.
Coco,
Just promote,
Pinky
just
Pink
promote.
10.
but yes,
I'm
it's
just wondering.
amazing.
Go ahead, babe.
I was gonna say it's just amazing how the simplest thing, like in Psycho, it's chocolate syrup for the blood,
Mhm.
can relay such a big
It's the
special
small-
effects. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
one thing that was unique with Evil Dead was may not be the biggest of effects, but
I mean,
it
the
did
blood,
it impact
small details.
later throughout the film series, like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the blood would either get changed, no blood, or in Army of Darkness, the blood would be orange.
Oh,
And
we
you
love
got
it
some
all,
green in
but
there too.
Oh yeah, because it was produced by Paramount, who I believe also was the same company who distributed Friday the 13th as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. So back to Countess and Moth Daddy. Overall thoughts on the first Evil Dead film?
I definitely preference the second one more. I will say I was excited though when Ash versus the Evil Dead came out and they revisited the first one.
And
I think I liked it better.
they also revisited the sequel too, which was
Yeah,
technically
they went all the way through all three, but they kind of half-assed it with the third one on the revisit. But
oh yeah, his only reference was I've done time traveling before.
yeah, but definitely not my favorite of the series, but definitely enough to keep me hooked to want to have watched the second one.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like it definitely started something with cheesy B horror films at the time, because it's definitely a B horror film.
And thank you,
Mhm.
Bruce Campbell. You helped me become a woman many a times after that movie. So to you, buddy.
Agreed.
Cheers.
I loved it. Not my favorite also. My favorite's the third one, but we'll get into that later. I get a lot of good memories, just, on the family side of it being one of the first, films that I saw. And then, I like it. I get fond memories with it, but I gotta say the third is my favorite. So,
And we'll be talking about that shortly after we talk about the sequel.
yes.
Lux, overall thoughts on the first Evil Dead film, especially since you watched it many years later.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, terrifying, and a classic. It's a phenomenal film, especially knowing all the things behind the scenes that go into it and the time, But I feel like, especially with the Evil Dead, it's like Frankenstein. It's like watching the original Frankenstein. When you watch the original Frankenstein, you see kind of where each story and where each other creation is kind of parodied it or warped it or remade it in some way, shape, or form. It always kind of goes back to this one, and that's how I feel about the Evil Dead. I feel like a lot of horror movies and a lot of pop culture is so rooted in the Evil Dead that it's just like inundated, like 110%. It's a classic, undeniable. But in that case, it has gotten a little washed out by all of the things that have superseded it and followed it in creation.
Oh yeah, over the
Which is
past
why
40
for me
years.
and for me it's my favorite of the original three, for sure. But is it bumpy? 110%.
Oh yeah.
Bumpy is a terrible thing.
I remember before
I love it that you're honest.
You gotta be with these films sometimes.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
what it is. It's what makes them special.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. Elsa, same question. What were your thoughts altogether for Evil Dead 1?
well, for Evil Dead 1, it holds a special place in my heart because, like, it's one of the rare horror movies I will ever watch again. And also, just like English, again, the tree scene is, I can never get that image out of my head ever, no matter what.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
No,
Iconic.
I'll allow that pun. That pun's allowed.
Again, it's just one of the most iconic movies that people will obviously think of till today. Maybe not the other ones, maybe not either way, but yeah. It's
Still better than Shazam.
Oh,
yeah, I just can't think at the moment.
Hey, words, English. I get it. Adulting is hard.
I
Adulting
can't.
is
I'm
hard.
sorry.
Alexis'
I
face.
just want to make sure. Did you just say still better than Shazam?
So where am I wrong? Do you want Showgirls?
You're
or
crazy.
Showgirls.
Yes.
Showgirls? Oh
Okay,
god!
so-
Oh god! Oh god! I remember that movie
Okay.
in the 90s. We're not
Is
talking
it-
about that.
Back to our scheduled program.
Back
Evil
to
Dead. Hello.
but yes, Evil Dead. I guess I'll go. I thought it wasn't bad. I remember because I saw Army of Darkness first, and it's like, okay, there's other ones. So I basically binged all 3 films from Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and I also had to rewatch Army of Darkness. That was way after I saw the 2013 remake, which to this day, some of those scenes in that film, oh, especially the way looking about it now, comparing to the old tree scene to the new one and how that one went, like they went further with that scene, which we'll be discussing. So yeah, moving on, 6 years later, we would get, and this was picked up by Paramount Film Company. 6 years later, we would get Evil Dead 2, which is basically a retelling of the first one, but a lot of changes were made. And we also get to introduce some new characters as well, and we also get a little bit more backstory on it. And also, we would get to see more. We would get to see more about Evil Dead 2 when we saw time traveling scenes in the Evil Dead TV show, which I really thought was pretty close. So yeah. Countess and Moth Daddy, back to you again. How old were you when you first saw Evil Dead 2, and what were your thoughts at the time?
Don't you know you're never supposed to ask a lady her age? Obviously, it was 6 years after I watched the first one.
We're all friends here.
What she said.
Well, I don't even know if I was born yet when it came out, darling. So, I saw it when I did. And
Fair enough.
this is just my way of saying I don't remember how old I was.
Hey,
but
no,
it
that's the term I use too.
But it was very close to after I saw the first one, because once again, it was a blockbuster. If it was on the shelf and I saw it, I grabbed it and I took it home. So
Like, well, I mean, you had to ask parental permission first before taking
exactly.
it home.
So that still doesn't make me any
Not
younger.
like Blockbuster are gonna say, why is that kid taking a horror movie home with them?
Oh, come on, like you never shoplifted a bag of peanuts or M&Ms from
No,
Blockbuster as a kid.
Never. Well,
Okay.
I actually almost walked out with a movie with the Saw movie. That's for another time.
Just had a bunch of movies that I never returned.
Want to play a game?
Like 30 years later, it's like, holy shit! Why do I have a copy of Land Before Time still here from Blockbuster?
Oh my god, I did the same thing yesterday when I was walking out of the Walmart. I was like, why do I have this copy of Land Before Time?
But yeah, at the initial time, what were you guys' thoughts when you saw Evil Dead 2, which is basically a requel, I guess, in a sense?
I loved it more than the first one. I love the fact that they didn't surround the whole movie around the fucking magnifying glass necklace. We get what it is. She
Oh, even like, oh yeah,
Like,
what was it?
she
He
already had
he
it.
got it from a coin machine, if I'm not mistaken.
But see, in the second one, they didn't even do all that. The bitch already had it around her neck. Like, we're like, okay, she got a necklace, great.
We moved past
We
it,
moved
that's
it.
why.
But
Very
I
nice.
loved the whole fact that it was so comedy driven, that not only was Bruce Campbell so fucking fine, but he also had this humor, this comedy side of him, which really showed him as an actor and his range that he could play. And just having a lot of laughter in horror movies. That's what I look for personally. I look for creative kills, and I look for how much am I laughing with this, because I want to be like, I want thrills, shrills, kills, everything that ends in ills, like a Dr. Seuss. But the fact that I was laughing more than I was scared, but then at the same time weirded out. I grew up in a cabin in Mount Laguna around the time I saw the second one, and we had a deer head on the wall, and I swear that thing was going to start moving because of that film. So
They're laughing at you.
they did laugh at me.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
this is the closest thing that we got here.
You
By
gotta
the
pull it
way, I do want to go back. Moth Daddy, I do love your Ash plushie you have.
Oh yes, he's actually. I was gonna bring him out for the third one. It's an Army of Darkness.
Ooh, I saw you holding it. It's like I want to like the only thing you're missing. The only thing you guys are missing now is the Ashy Slashy puppet.
We
I have
it.
it.
We have it in storage.
I have it put away right now because I recently moved, but she did get it for me for my birthday because I really wanted the Ashy Slashy.
Well, doesn't that make you a nice partner?
Oh, definitely.
I know what she wants. Diamonds, gold, no, Ashy Slashy.
I mean,
the cheesier like this, the better. That's the way to my
want
heart.
Want to way to a girl's heart? Get her an Ashy Slashy puppet from Evil Dead, Evil Dead TV series. And which we
got a little Necronomicon.
Oh,
yeah, this came from I don't know where, but if I can get a 10% off link.
It looks like something you would buy from Hot Topic, honestly.
Actually, he came from Target. I'll promote.
I rather
for the Target collectible section. Yeah.
We're not doing any promotions for Target here, sorry. But yeah, same question, Moth Daddy. What was it like when you saw Evil Dead 2 for the first time? I know where I'm not gonna ask how old you were.
Thank you. I was very young. I'm still young.
You're young forever.
I think I saw it. I can't remember. It was like a couple months or like a year later from when I saw the first one. You know, again, it was totally up to my family back in the day. You know, they got the movies, we all just watched. Very open parents back then. Still, but I loved it. I was so happy and thrilled, like seeing the first one and then just seeing the second one and then just the retelling of the first one, you know, with added bonuses after. I was in love with it again. And then like, I love cheesy horror. So just the whole time I was cracking up. So like, they just looked at me like I was insane, okay? Because I'm supposed to be terrified here. And I'm just like, did you see that?
See, my mom loved me so much that she would put on The Ring and just have me watch it by myself and then come check on me in 7 days.
Yeah, there's a mistake.
So I know about that family movie love.
There was a mistake I made at age. There's a mistake I made at the age of 13 is watching The Ring and not being able to fucking sleep that whole night. I had to watch a Disney movie just so I can fall asleep.
Did you watch Lilo and Stitch?
No, I watched Lion King.
See, my mom went to the well, pulled out the VHS, sat me in front of the TV, and said, "Here, Danielle, watch this. I'll call you in 7 days." Like she loves me that much.
Listen, let me tell you, after seeing that, I wanted to crawl in and out of the TV. I'm just saying, that looked really cool.
Actually, I was referring because the voice actor of Lilo is the girl from The Ring.
Of Samara.
Yeah.
Not to be confused. Not to be confused with Samara Weaving from Hide and Seek.
Oh yeah.
Or the babysitter. Lux, same question. What was it like when you watched the sequel to Evil Dead?
It was like I'm not high enough for this.
Definitely.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I watched Evil Dead 2 long after I had seen the first one and the third one and a bit of the TV series. I probably was my later college years that I watched Evil Dead 2, and I just had to kind of bring this respect to the acting that is done in it, because when I watched it, I was in my acting classes, and I was thinking, you know,
talking about that, I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom. So
yeah,
talk,
yeah,
and then I'll be back.
I was like, you
All
know,
right, he's gone. Say it. No.
Okay, who has a Necronomicon book so we can summon something in his house?
All right, who knows Latin? I
Listen,
can speak Pig Latin.
I know the three words. Don't get
me.
Okay.
Okay, now we wait until he comes back.
All right, we all gotta say.
Here, I'll be the host. So, Elsa.
Yes.
When did you see the second Evil Dead movie, and what were your thoughts on it? And were you done, Lux? I'm sorry, baby. I just cut you
Oh
off.
no, you're all good, baby. You're
No,
all
I'm just-
good.
Time.
Whoops.
You're all good.
I'm just gonna
You're
feel
like,
I'm like I don't remember when I watched it. But I do enjoy like the comedic effects like everybody else said, especially the hand cutting off scene. Because that was
Iconic.
Yeah.
The official.
also
fun.
there's sorry.
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, fun fact about Lux over here. Lux actually writes her own screenplays and movies and everything. I got the chance to watch Holidays, which is amazing, and I hope to see more of that in the future. But there's a whole scene that she was doing on stage where she was in a correct me if I'm wrong, you were in a Christmas store and you were fighting to get the snowman. And you were being pulled, and mind you, no one else was on the stage. This was just her on the stage. And the way that she acted that out actually made me think of the scene with him fighting with his own hand.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But actually the fun fact I want to well, the headcanon, the Ash's hand is actually the thing. Wait, is it the thing? No, wait, what's the hand called from Adam's Family?
Thing.
Yeah,
Thing.
thing. It could be from a fuck! My brain doesn't So after the hand crawls away, it just found the Adam Family and there he resides.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good retirement home.
that's a good headcanon, honestly.
You got that 401k pay as you go to health plan, so
I mean,
And also the iconic scene, as we were talking earlier, about Sally, something like that. My brain hurts today. Trying to get out.
oh yeah, from the cellar.
Yeah,
Yep.
trying to raise the roof. As we all know, that felt.
from the windows to the walls.
So yeah,
Down their ears.
Elsa, I'm not sure if you answered it already, but what was it like when you first watched Evil Dead 2 at the time?
All right, if you go back like a couple of minutes, you'll see my answer.
Okay.
I took over for you. I took
Okay,
over
well,
for
hey,
you. I'm
you
sorry.
know what?
I played God.
I don't mind. As you know, I don't mind that. So one thing I really didn't. So the new thing about this, we get introduced to a new cast of characters. We're introduced to Annie, Jake, Bobby Joe, and Linda, and the Bobby Joe's boyfriend. I can't remember his name.
Daddy.
Joe
Yes,
Bobby.
Ed, I think was his name. Yeah.
Ed.
Yep.
Oh, because Evil Ed, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get introduced to a new cast of characters, and this time, the unlike the first one where the cabin was vacant and no one there, this one actually has people in it this time, and we actually learn more about the backstory of the Necronomicon, and we also get introduced to a new thing, the Kandarian dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't ask it in the first part, but back to Countess and Moth Daddy. What are your thoughts on the characters that we get introduced in this one?
So I thought it was interesting that we got a new Linda, and I guess it was because she was pregnant, she couldn't come back. So I would feel like stepping into another.
Played by one Denise Bixler.
Yes. So I feel like whenever you have to step into like another role like that, it's always anxiety.
And she's only played in a total of three. She only has 3 credits on IMDb. It's Linda, Lisa Brooks, in a TV show called Booker, and Yanina in Crisis in the Kremlin. She didn't do a whole lot of acting.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but I was in one horror movie when I was 14. But yeah, I definitely like the refreshment of the cast. I think that they actually went a better route to recast and kind of have new people coming in versus full on repeat, because in some films like Hocus Pocus, I would prefer to see the original cast back versus whatever they gave us. But I feel like in this sense, it was nice to get kind of a new kind of lay of characters. and kind of a new difference in setup. Like two people book the same Airbnb. Let's see who lives, you know? It's kind of one of those instances versus like, oh, we just booked this cabin and we came here and we did this. No, it's kind of a new twist on a new story. And it's those minor little changes that really give the film what it is.
So I'm looking up the IMDb of this. Who here is familiar with makeup artist and creator of the Walking Dead TV show, Greg Nicotero?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
He,
Slightly.
I'll
Walking
show
Dead.
I'll show you a picture of him, and then you'll probably know. He's done a lot of horror stuff. Come on.
He's been like he's kind of one of the big consultants for a lot of the horror like conventions and things. I know he's done a lot of commentary on a lot of special effects docuseries and things like that. He's in Search of Darkness, I believe, and also Eli Roth's History of Horror.
Nice. So here's what he played as in the Evil Dead 2. He was the hand, Evil Ed's hand, and Henrietta's long neck Pee-wee head.
Oh.
Gary, so yeah, there's actually a few people who played as the hand. John W. Walter was the hand, and Gary Jones was also the hand. So there's
It's a hand that gets around.
and also William Preston Robertson was also the hand, and he was also William Preston Robertson was also the voice of the deer head. Who was laughing.
My god.
So he's to blame for my nightmares. Got it.
One of my favorite parts.
But yeah. Oh, John Peaks played as Professor Raymond Noby. He was Annie's dad. So yeah, Moth Daddy, thoughts on the new characters that we were introduced to in this one?
I enjoyed it. I like seeing fresh faces when it comes to, you know, like the second films and stuff like that. They really, I don't know, can't explain it. It's just more of like I like seeing the fresh faces. It was nice because it wasn't, you know, it was something
more comedic.
Thank you.
aspect.
Yes, thank you. Half of my brain here. But yeah, that's what I liked about it, the comedic aspect that they were able to bring, you know, with the fresh new set of faces, and just it was fun.
Nice. So before I go on to Luxe, I'll ask you to another follow-up question. Who was your favorite character in this one?
The deer on the wall. Listen, if I could get that thing made into an animatronic, I would have that.
I would want it.
I would have it.
I want it.
But no, you, as basic as it sounds, and everyone's probably like, oh, fake fan. It really is Ash, but this Ash. Because this Ash was different than last Ash. And like I said, I'm a sucker. If you're comedic, it's like one of the reasons why I like Chucky so much from like Child's Play.
For anyone who's never, this is the deer puppet. That is a full-on animatronic deer puppet.
And if someone knows where that is and you know how easily I can break in and take it, please shoot me a DM. I will put it on my wall. So it definitely is Ash in this film.
Oh, you can buy it as a drawing.
But it doesn't talk to me and
on
spin.
Redbubble. No, I'm actually looking it up. I'm actually looking it up right now, and I cannot find that fucker anywhere.
Yeah.
Someone stole it before you did.
I know. Jeez,
we gotta track them down.
Yep, I'm looking. Can't find them. So that's something you're gonna have to get custom made.
Yeah,
it's probably sitting in the back of somebody's trailer because that's how most of these like old 80s props are.
Oh yeah,
like,
someone like
some rando.
The studio like, yeah, we don't need this anymore. Someone goes to a junkyard, it's like, hey, that's from so and so movie.
Oh
you're coming home with me.
Or I mean, you can try looking at storage units, abandoned ones especially.
Yeah, could be there too.
Never know.
Or I could just go drag a deer from outside and give it some laughing gas. Like,
yeah.
Okay, there, Joker.
Excuse me.
Moth Daddy, same question. Who is your favorite character in this movie?
I mean, I'm not the basic answer. I mean, I love Ash in general, you know, but I gotta say the mom,
Oh, Henrietta,
especially, yeah, the mom, especially in her full dead-eyed form.
played by one Ted Raimi, by the way.
Yes, precisely. It was just,
I felt so bad for Ted in that role. He was
oh, I
sweating fucking.
think we all did.
He was sweating profusely.
Oh, and there is that scene where you can kind of see it like dripping out of
Oh,
his
yep,
ear.
that was his sweat dripping out of his ear. Yep, that wasn't added. That was Ted sweating fucking bullets.
Full on.
I remember watching
But
it
yeah,
behind
he
the
was,
scenes for that.
but yeah, that was one of my favorites from the second film, I gotta say, was the mom in dead-eyed form.
Nice.
And just
Yeah.
her little, I'll swallow your soul.
Ah, I remember,
Yeah.
I remember watching behind the scenes of that on Dead Meat's channel when he was covering the Evil Dead 2. When they came to taking off like the foot prosthetics, they
Mm,
poured it and there was like just foot sweat they were pouring out.
Human teeth.
num, num, num.
The teeth.
I can't imagine wearing prosthetics, let alone a full on fat suit like that. Let me actually pull up Henrietta from that. Well, while going to Lux, favorite character or characters.
I gotta buzz in on Evil Ed on this one because the teeth and because I am a slut for the bit characters and the tiny ones. Even if they don't have a line or they don't have many lines without the star of the movie, I still like zero in on them because I like the way that they look. And Evil Ed with his multiple teeth and the big crazy jawline and the ridiculous middle part. Um, like it's I think that's perfectly capturing what you're saying about how ridiculous this movie is like this dude has a terrifying face and a middle part in a striped button up like
Like how threatening is this? Like
Oh,
Terrifying.
Jake was the redneck and Bobby Joe was okay. I'm evil. Ed was Annie's lover or something, if I'm mistaken. This is for anyone wondering. This is
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and then this
You're
and then
wrong.
the one you're talking about. I can't show the one where his head is basically blown off, but yeah, this is the makeup for Evil Ed. Like I feel like I feel like Evil Ed is a play on words of Evil Dead.
Oh,
It
for
has to
sure.
be.
But look at I mean, look how much compared to the first one. Look how much like you can tell there was definitely a bigger budget for this film.
You see the improvement, definitely.
Oh yeah.
While
It
still
doesn't look
keeping the classic.
like the
Mhm.
toilet paper method. That's full. That's full
hey,
blown.
that method still works.
And
And
let me
I'm not,
tell you.
I'm not dissing on the toilet paper method. Like I have a friend who does special effects, and she used the toilet paper method to do the creepypasta character Smiley.
Mhm.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, look, no, don't do that. But yeah, like look, just like you can definitely tell with a bigger budget they were able to do a lot more than
Mhm.
just what they did in the original.
And Evil Ed is definitely a work of special effects mastery, 110%. And I think it's really one of the things that this franchise is just so good at owning is how they're able to challenge what we understand to be the human body.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
no. I mean, here's another look at Evil Ed. Like here's like this I think also was like special effects because this film also used a lot of stop motion too.
And
Yeah,
I think that's what
here's
gave it
another
such
look
an
at
appeal.
here's
Yeah.
another look at Evil Ed like full on deadite.
The one that always amazed me was Henrietta at the very end, where her neck
Mm.
stretches out, and it's
Oh,
just that
like a
full-
Tim Burton
yeah.
snake.
Yes.
That one I remember seeing, and I'm so happy that in the Ash versus Evil Dead series we get to revisit her. And they kept her in the same way.
Yes.
So I appreciate them doing that because they could have easily full 100% CGI'd it, and they chose not to.
See,
Same.
that
Mm.
practical special effect again, mixture of stop motion. It's like something out of a Tim Burton film, almost.
100%.
Definitely.
That's like really that's really cool though. Like
And you
again,
get to see it stretch out, which is
oh
even
yeah, no, stop
Yeah.
motion. I think they also did the whole because they I know with a lot of stop motion films back in the day, they also rewind the footage as well.
Mhm.
They used that in the first Hellraiser film when what's his name was his skin was like crawling back onto his body.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
It's just so amazing when you sit there and you think that things can be so simple as the makeup you're wearing with light manipulation. I can't remember the film, but there was this girl who went from normal skin to like green skin. It was literally just a light manipulation.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it was so amazing because they used grays and they used, skin colorable palette, but the second a red light hits, they look green. It's the same thing with this film. You do something and you play it backwards, or you do stop motion, which 1 minute stop motion can take a month to do. It's impressive to see that we were able to, as humans, just create such an effect at that time.
Oh no, most
Sure.
definitely. I like I said, I'm a fan of special effects, makeup, stop motion. I mean, I have a segment dedicated to geeking out called Knowing That Artist, where I have makeup artists come on to talk about, whether they do cosplay,
Awesome.
special effects. So if any of you all are ever interested on being a
I'll
guest on
bring
that
my
one,
toilet paper.
feel free to let me know. But no, I feel like, but seriously though, with this bigger budget, they were when you get a bigger budget, you can do more. Just,
Definitely.
don't do what Mortal Kombat Annihilation did and put half their budget into a hair care products. Literally at the credits, they give a special thanks to a hair care product company.
Yeah,
So
bigger
much
is not
potential.
always better when it comes to special effects.
No,
Exactly.
no, and this movie and the third one and the TV show proved that practical is better.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
it's like CGI isn't always better, Too much
Mm,
CGI just sometimes kills the film.
it can work in certain aspects if necessary, but other times it's like okay, practical, yeah. I mean, CGI costs less because
Definitely, yeah.
practical
It's not a bad thing, but it's just
I feel
you-
like it depends on your medium. Like if you're filming Avatar, that whole thing is CGI, but it works because of the concept behind the film. But if we were
you look at it, it's just nothing but blue screen and green screen.
exactly, but if we were to do like
Yeah.
a second Killer Clowns from Outer Space, you would definitely
Oh,
want to have the puppets and everything,
Yes.
but use the CGI as more of a way to clean up and maybe get
oh
some of the
yeah,
things that you can't do. Like in the Chucky series, they're still using kids to be Chucky running around,
oh
but
yeah.
then also, hitting some CGI. So
Yeah, which is
it's
like
your balance and your medium.
yes.
I mean, I think I'm not sure how much didn't the Evil Dead TV show use CGI? It's been a
They
while.
did, but they used it kind of more like a cleanup sense.
Yeah.
A lot of it was still puppetry. A lot of it was still practical effects, like the one where I can't remember what season, but her head gets basically cut like an accordion. That's all puppet.
That's season 3.
Yeah, that's all a puppet. It's you could pick it up and show the prop, but
Yeah.
they use the CGI to just kind of clean it up ever so slightly.
They
Oh.
remain true to
Less
like
retakes.
Oh yeah, no, wholeheartedly. Elsa, same question. Who is your favorite character or characters in this movie?
I really enjoy Linda and Andy and Annie, not Andy,
Annie,
Annie,
words.
and obviously Ash. I am a simp.
I mean,
I know, right?
I mean the fact that Bruce Campbell was like in his early 30s at the time of this film, still impressive.
Like
up to
honestly,
this day.
What's wrong with being in your early 30s?
I mean, I'm turning 30 this year, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Cassandra Peterson didn't start Elvira till she was in her early 30s.
And god damn, for a gal who's pushing 70, good god, I would love to age. I would love to age that gracefully.
Thank you, Dr. Goldberg.
And just like Bruce Campbell, up to this day, he's a very handsome man still.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
seems to be getting like better with age almost.
Mm,
Oh yeah, no.
Bruce Campbell can read me the phone book.
I mean,
Thanks.
hell, look at Patrick Stewart. The guy's pushing 80, and he still looks pretty damn good.
oh yeah. Like they aged like fine
Fine
wine.
wine.
Yeah,
Yep.
Hollywood
I mean,
secret.
I feel like Bruce Campbell also just smokes a bit to stay young too.
Hey, don't give our secret.
I mean, we saw the man get high in the Evil Dead TV show. Come on.
True.
But
The more
yeah.
alcohol you drink, the more you pickle yourself. So
Oof. Oof, yeah. But yeah, so you said Annie and Ash were your favorite characters?
And Lori.
Yeah, Lori, yeah.
Yes.
Lori.
Linda.
Linda. Yeah, I was like, wait, Lori's the
There's
sister,
an
right?
L, so I'm just gonna call it close enough.
Okay, why not? But yeah, Linda, yeah, this is like I said, this is the second actor to play as Linda since, Raimi wanted to do an official sequel, but he couldn't, so he had to do it as the kids say, a requel.
yeah.
And would Evil Dead 2 real quick, would Evil Dead 2 be considered a requel?
Ooh,
Because
good
they
question.
changed things, but they keep some of the things.
Well, that goes in. So, I never realized it, but I had one of my employees who doesn't really talk a lot. But one day I just brought up Evil Dead, and this guy just went off, and more power to him. But he was like, this is the thing that I don't understand about the Evil Dead franchise. The rules never are the same.
Oh no,
Never.
especially with Army of Darkness, how the
Yes.
how that plot fucking changed. Not just once, but twice, because and we'll get to that after we talk, because we have a lot more to talk about Evil Dead 2 than the first one, because there's a lot more. Again, bigger budget, more stuff to do. Your main distributor is Paramount, one of the biggest film companies over the past 100 years.
But didn't the director explain why the Evil Dead was like that and why it's so many what's it called? It's like this basically the same thing but in different dimensions, I believe. That's what the director said about it. Or correct me if I'm wrong about that.
I think that's from the third one, because they kind of go back to explain like they're different like time verses or something like that. So everything is like the same parallel but like different. That's why like in the 2013 one, it was the same thing. Like Bruce Campbell was there and everything. Like that happened, but it was a different like linear lineup with new people.
I consider the 2013 to be its own thing.
But according to the director, it's not, though. It's supposed to be everything with Ash still happened, but because of the way that the book works, it's gonna always be the same thing, just different people. So that's why there's so much similarity to it.
I mean, if they had made a season 4, I would have loved to have seen mentions of the Evil Dead 2013 film.
Oh, okay.
I would have. I mean, we didn't get again season 3 left on the cliffhanger, and we will talk about that. So back to Countess and Moth Daddy. What did you think the first seeing Bruce Campbell do his own stunts for the first time? Like, especially when when his hand is taken over and he flips himself over in the kitchen.
That was iconic. Just
The fact that he did that himself.
Exactly. The fact he had no help.
I want to flip myself. No wires, no ropes, no stuntman. Like, I'll bash plates on my head. I'll do this. I'll do that.
I was over at Luxe's house the other day, and I said, "Hey, baby, before we do our show together in May, can you please teach me how to do a death drop? So I want to do it as Beetlejuice." And I was at home. I was thinking on it, and I'm like,
what?
A death drop. It's a move that's like very well known, where you kind of like turn your foot and you kick the other one up, but you're falling, but it's controlled, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stunt in drag that a lot of drag performers use a lot, where usually suddenly you do a trick where you land on the floor, and there's all different kinds of these drops. The main one is usually when, and allow me to demonstrate, where
live demonstration, boys and girls, from Luxe the Drag Queen.
You turn your leg in, and then you start going backwards, and this leg folds on itself, and then it cushions your drop as you go down.
I think I've seen that on an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yep. Like Anja Nostalgia did it.
Yep.
Wait, oh yeah, show the video.
The iconic death drop.
Yes.
That's his nickname.
Yeah. Oh God, my legs and other.
That's what Ash did. The
My-
yassification.
My leg would probably be broken, and I'd be also concerned that I would have ruined my male bits too.
Yeah, so the fact that I asked to do that at the age that I am, and the fact that, you know, Bruce Campbell was doing the things he was doing at his age, I'm like,
I mean, he was the same
okay.
age. He was like, again, he was in his 30s doing that shit.
Mhm. And I'm 21. So the fact that
That is the official age.
yes, I'm 21.
They are of legal drinking age.
But well, I don't know. I lied. I was 14 when I was 18. But anyway, you know, thinking, oh God, I asked to do this. Am I gonna be able to do it? And then to see him do a full-on fight scene with his hand where he's doing flips and everything, going through glass windows and everything. I'm just like, okay, it's doable, but it's impressive because, you know, tuning in with your own body, you're just like, oh.
Again, the fact that I think what Bruce Campbell asked to do his own stunts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I believe he
fuck.
still does them even in the TV series. Like that was just something like he kind of followed.
I mean, I know he did his own stunts in Multiverse of Madness too. Like the guy's like for a guy who's like 60, almost damn near 70, can still move. I mean, I'm sure he can't do a whole lot, but like
Yeah.
the fact that he can do certain things he did back then. Because I remember seeing a video. It was at a convention he did years and years ago where someone in the audience asked him to do the flip and he did the flip.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He knows
That's
about
so
crazy.
It makes
I
me
did
think
one.
of. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, babe.
No, you go ahead, love.
I just makes me think of because recently back in October, Moth Daddy, Autumn and I all got to go see Halloween Ends together, and not only were we the Evil Dead sitting in the back giggling, snickering, and laughing at the ridiculousness of this incredible conclusion to this franchise trilogy.
Mm.
I could not help but think about Jamie Lee doing her stunts in the last scene between her and Michael, and thinking of the interview that she did where she was like, you know, it looks realer on camera if I get thrown over the table, and I was like, you work, Mama. This is your last movie stroke.
I mean,
So-
hell, if you want
Baiting them to go harder.
if you want to talk about practical stunts, look at the gal who played as Mrs. Voorhees in Friday the 13th. Her and the actor who played as the final girl did their own stunts. And literally that I can't remember the actor who played as Mrs. Voorhees, but she literally took a rifle to the snooter.
Whew. I just think it adds an extra layer of like, wow. Like they did this themselves. Like they didn't want help. They wanted to do it by themselves. And it's just like,
And usually, you know, in a lot of films, you can tell when a stunt double comes in. Like Elvira's Haunted Hills, where she's hanging off the side of the buggy.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't find someone with her
Friday
proportions.
the 13th, they used Tom Savini to crash through the window, playing as a girl in her nightgown.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like you can tell sometimes with like Friday the 13th, you can tell when it's a stunt double. And I didn't know about that about the Elvira film.
Oh yeah, they were filming in Romania and they couldn't find someone as curvaceous and busty as Cassandra.
Oh,
so they
Naturel.
so they got someone who was, you know, a carpenter's dream, flat as a board, easy to screw, and you just see her hanging off the side of this thing, and it's just all her curves and everything are gone, and now she's like 6 feet tall, and it's just that's
I'm
her.
sorry, but that phrase you said, flat as a board and easy to screw. I love it.
Carpenter's dream.
Put that on a t-shirt.
I can't because the sleepaway camp will sue me. But...
Oh, that's right. That's right. It wasn't sleepaway camp pertaining to her that fuck, the name's drawing a blank.
Are you talking about Angela?
Yeah.
Or Felicia Rose, the actress?
It was the quote was directed towards Angela.
Yes.
Also, eat shit and live, Bill.
That movie so overlooked.
Oh yeah, that may be another series we cover.
Well, what's
For recap.
funny is it actually kind of adds in the same way of Evil Dead 2 because the last movie of that franchise is the same thing as Evil Dead 2. It's like a remake, not
we
remake.
didn't get an official
sequel.
sequel. We didn't get an official sequel to Sleepaway Camp until 2005.
Yeah.
And then it was
Years.
played by this actress or Angela switched up.
Lux, same question. Your thoughts on the stunts done in this film?
Oh, I mean, wonderful. I mean, insane. If they looked at me and said, not only are you wearing these blind contacts, but you've got this 10 pounds of makeup and special effects on, and you're gonna run at Bruce Campbell, jump on him, and throw him to the ground, I would be like, how do you expect me to land on Mr. Campbell? Because
Well, let me tell you.
Well, you
you
see,
do it like this, okay?
Let me do a live demonstration now. Well, if you see
No, that's
here,
that's the Evil Dead that I want to see, is a death drop onto literally Mr. Bruce Campbell.
I will see that Monster
no,
Palooza.
no, ladies, no.
You should invite him to the show. Be like, just come behind stage for a minute.
Like, you want to come to Scream Queens, Mr. Campbell? You want to introduce everybody?
Let me introduce you to myself, Mr. Campbell.
But I didn't know what the
Listen,
death.
Mr.
I didn't know what
Campbell,
the.
I'm all about tucking and fucking, okay?
I'm sorry, baby. You didn't know about what? You didn't know about what?
This is a podcast that's going definitely late at night. This is a podcast that's going to be put at 9 p.m. Not your standard 4 p.m. like you usually do.
The 9
Make it
p.m.
9:01,
crowd.
what do you think?
Oh my god, I'm definitely putting a content wording on this video.
Oh, surprise them.
But yeah, no, your thoughts. And by the way, I never knew what the death drop was until you told me. But like when you said, it's like, yeah, it definitely sounds something familiar from what I've seen from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, absolutely. And the
And
fact that
you said you did that yourself as well.
I do that on occasion if I've got enough
Ooh.
adrenaline in me.
You gotta teach me it.
I learned this now.
The thing for me is because I'm a big girl, I always have a little bit of extra padding going on, you know. So I have something soft to land on. But
Whether it's the front or back.
Sometimes both. Sometimes both.
Stuff in the back.
You know what I should do? I should learn to do the evil hand flip so that after I do the death drop, I can immediately turn around and do the evil hand flip.
And I can't imagine. Speaking of, I can't imagine how many takes that took for Bruce to get because I can't imagine that's just a one and done take. Like, and plus Bruce physically, like, not only did he like do these physically impossible things, I'm sure he physically hurt himself too doing it. The flip.
Well, and they're
the
talking,
death drop, the smashing the plates on his head with the evil hand.
I can't remember if it's the first or the
glass.
second movie, but he actually had a sprained ankle through the whole thing, and the director was poking at his sprained ankle.
It was the first.
one.
It was the first one.
Yeah.
I remember hearing how Sam from I think it was actually the Dead Meat kill count is how Sam was like poking the stick
With a stick.
Yeah, it's like. Is your ankle hurting now? Is your ankle hurting now?
Do you feel like now, Mr. Krabs?
Yeah.
Are you
He was
feeling it
one
now,
of the
Mr.
directors.
Krabs? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
So if you see him at con, definitely poke him in the ankle. He'll like that.
Oh God, no!
There we go.
That's one way to get tackled by security and punched.
Oh.
Not your sticks long enough.
Like, that'd be a fun story though. Hey, what happened to your nose? I poked Bruce Campbell in the ankle and I got tackled by securities and punched in the nose.
It was awesome.
If that's how I go, that's how I go. Just
Worth it.
teach me that death drop.
You know what? You know what? It's gonna be me. You're just gonna see Monster Palooza, Luxe drag queen thrown out of Monster Palooza for touching Bruce Campbell's ankle.
I mean, look what happened to that one girl at con. She got kicked out of a con for biting Norman Reedus on the chest.
What?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story about that after this. Elsa, same question. What are your thoughts on the stunts for this movie?
Obviously, it's amazing. Like, if I was him, I would be doing all my own stunts. Like, I have actors 10 times more respect for doing their own stunt than normal actors. Like, you can just throw yourself out a window with no questions and still get paid for it. Yes.
I mean,
As
for
well.
someone who attempted a jump tuck and roll in my younger days, I can tell you doing shit like that fucking hurts. It's how you
does.
it's how you nearly dislocate your pelvis.
And also, like, again, that one scene is just amazing. Like, his own hand. And, my brain says nope, not today, Satan, not today. But anyways,
It's its own actor.
I'd be so immature. I would be thinking of like the whole Jennifer Lopez thing from South Park, where like
Jennifer Lopez, who loves taco flavored kisses.
I feel like if some like Luxe, come back into this camera. Can you please do this as a drag number? Like put eyelashes on your fucking hand and just do like a Jennifer Lopez Evil Dead crossover.
The name is Jennifer Lopez, who loves taco flavored kisses.
Jennifer Lopez.
Who loves
And they can do the flip.
who loves tacos and burritos.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to ruin too much, but I am working on an Evil Dead number right now, and I'm really excited for when we do our next secret project. I will be wearing the outfit that I will be doing for the Evil Dead number, so I'm excited. I'm currently accepting suggestions for bits as a part of the mix.
Comment below if you have any suggestions for Luxe.
If there's any wheezing, hissing, aggressive laughing, elder possession sounding bitches, please. Let a bitch know.
Well, let me tell you, I've seen some of these politician things, and I think I can send them over to you.
We're not talking about politics.
we're talking about throwing people out the window.
Well, back to politics. No,
Smashing plates on her head.
Oh yes. So before I go back to Countess and Moth Daddy, I think one of my favorite scenes, because we're talking about favorite scenes, and since this is Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, the one scene I want to talk about, my favorite, is when Ash is losing his mind, and the chairs, basically the whole house is just like laughing at him, and he does that whole thing where he's like bending up and down, has his gun and chainsaw in the hand. You know the scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That has my baby deer in it.
I call that just the scene again where Ash is just losing his fucking mind is like the funniest, and he's like the furniture's laughing at him, the deer's laughing,
Everything's laughing.
everything he's laughing. His face is all cut up and everything. He's drenched in sweat. Oh, that's probably my favorite. Countess and Moth Daddy, what are your favorite scenes in the movie?
Well, that's one of them. That's like my first favorite one is that whole scene where, you know, he's losing his mind and everything's shaking and laughing. But I also have to say the one with what was her name? The mom?
Henrietta.
You know, when she's just like, I'll swallow your soul. It's just that always sticks with me. So that's like my favorite, like top, you know.
Yeah, and I think there's also the same scene where I think Jake the Redneck gets taken into the
basement.
And then instead of red blood, it's green blood, if I'm not mistaken.
It's green, yeah. They switched it
because Paramount thought, oh no, because the MPAA just, I don't know what it is, but at the time back then, the MPAA just wanted to put their dick prints of everything and just neuter all these good horror movie franchises. I mean, look at Friday the 13th. The damn thing was neutered, spayed, beaten, and just like do something.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Jeez.
But yeah, my favorite scene was the same as you. I agree with you there because it all goes back to that deer thing. But in retrospect of that scene, though, it was something so comedic. It was something so off-putting. It was something that when you're watching it, you know, you feel this kind of like you're uncomfortable watching it almost. And I think when the horror movie scene can make you physically feel something, being, you know, not in that realm or that movie, I think that's how you know you really projected a good scene. Because I remember watching that part And I'm like, okay, it is funny, it is hilarious, but it's also eerie, and it's also like you don't know what's gonna happen, what's gonna come next, because he is losing his mind. Like, what if this snaps to the next scene and everything was actually in his mind and everything's good, or moving forward there. So I think it was a very well done, well thought out, and well played scene showing his range of character to play.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
love that deer. Once again, anyone knows
yeah.
where it is, please give it to me. Please make it for
With
me.
how long this podcast is going on, I may have to split this podcast into 2 parts with how long it is. Because it's almost like
There's just so much good material.
it's like almost 9 o'clock. So this podcast may be split into a few parts.
Hey, lots of content.
So this may be going on to like close to 10 at night. Just a warning.
Well, I had off like around 9:30 then because work does not wait for me.
Oh yeah. So real quick, Elsa, since this podcast may be going on a little bit longer, want to drop your links below so people know where to find you?
You're kicking me off this early?
Well, no, you said you had to go at, well, I'm not kicking you off. I'm just like, say if you have to leave
I
early.
know. I'm just pulling on your leg, or in this case, just pulling on your arm.
Oh, there's that evil hand.
I'm gonna have to blur that out.
He's like, this is the only way I can do a hand flip. So
Blur.
I mean, we
Too
could do this
painful.
one.
Oh yeah. Well, when we get closer, I'll have you drop your links. Lux, same question. Favorite scene?
Sorry.
the green one.
Oh, choke.
You're all going to die tonight. No.
Don't choke. Don't choke.
Hey, there's no dying on. That's the rule. I gotta buzz in on Henrietta too because I'm sorry. Because
Iconic.
her net game is giving.
Isn't it the same scene where there's a scene with Bobby Joe where like an eyeball goes into her mouth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the gag.
Yeah.
Literally.
It pops out of her and just goes directly.
Was that Henrietta's eye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's when they're pushing her down in the cellar, and it's just like,
Which they actually had to cut out and dig themselves.
because
Wait,
it did
what?
not have a cellar.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I want to say it was the first one because I don't think it was the second one, or maybe it was both. I don't know, but I remember seeing on commentary that the cabin didn't have a cellar, so they actually had to cut a hole in the bottom and dig 8 feet down.
Yep. I remember. I think that was on the dead meat kill count as well.
Possibly.
I heard it from somewhere. Yeah, they had to do that.
Yeah,
But-
I was just like, oh.
But yeah, back to Lux. You like the Henrietta scene?
Oh yeah. Just the creativity and the fact that like kind of seeing where a lot of the makeup and a lot of the inspiration.
Shout out to Ted Raimi for doing all that.
Oh, 110%. And thinking about where this movie is kind of in the timeline of horror movies, I think it's so important the fact that I'm sorry, now I'm kind of going into thoughts about the movie itself because it's just, I feel like it's so significant because in the time of that we're talking about, this is 87, right?
86.
86.
Wait, no, 87. My bad.
So we're about They Live, Time, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Reanimator. Like we're about this time.
We're like in the third Freddy film, sixth
Yeah.
Friday the 13th film.
And it's gone all just completely campy and ridiculous. And I feel
the late
horror is
80s were like
important.
the late 80s were just campy horror films. Even your
Oh,
most well-known
yeah,
franchise was like, you know
definitely.
what? We're not taking this serious anymore. This is more of a joke. That's why we got Super Freddy than a Nintendo scene in the later films.
Yeah.
And I
No,
love how
and-
was starting to go back to it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, the Henrietta scenes I do have to agree were really funny. Again, shout out to Ted Raimi for wearing all that latex, the sweat.
Brought her to life perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Elsa, same question.
What and later.
Favorite scene?
Okay, my favorite scene is different from everybody else. It's the blood scene because the amount of taking it so long, as well as in like seeing how covered Ash is in blood. It's like it just makes sense. Like I promise I haven't taken anything. I promise this is not adult juice.
It's dizzy water.
I promise. It's just because of the gaze and the cuddling, the settings of Evil 2. So, and also because my brain is half working. Make that a quarter. Is it a quarter? But yes, the blood scene was definitely my favorite scene because I'm a sucker for blood. In all honesty, except when it comes to real life.
Oh,
I thought
girl.
blood was supposed to be. I thought blood was supposed to be on the inside.
I will tell you right now. I'm not a body horror girl. I can't hang with it. And so like when it comes to like any show or horror movie that depicts like the mutilation of flesh,
Like Saw.
I can't do Saw. That's
See,
that's my life.
I'm
Just
the
saying.
opposite. I go for as hard as you can a Siberian film, August Underground,
Hostel.
American Guinea Pig,
Gore porn.
anything like
Or
I
porn.
don't know if I'm just so desensitized or if it's just because I know what goes into the effects just because of like schooling and stuff that I
I
did.
mean, not to
but
mention you were in a low budget horror film too.
yes, and we would actually do things on there that like they actually took like rotten meat that like was gonna get thrown away and would put a little microphone and chop to make the noise. So then when I see these other movies, I'm like, oh, that's probably what they
That's
did.
so interesting. You know,
Yeah.
I'll bet you if I had a similar experience, my opinion or my kind of understanding of everything would be a little different. But for me, it's like I see it, I feel it, you know,
Yeah.
Fair
and
enough.
like a lot of the really big kills in the Evil Dead series, you know, they're so graphic and they're so over the top, and I have to sit there and go, ah! Can't watch the screen.
Every
Oh,
now and then I'll get one where I physically feel like but then there's some that shock me. Like in Midsummer, the part where the old guy jumped off and like
Oh
he
yeah,
didn't
just
die.
oh
Like
yeah,
that,
I know exactly what movie. I saw that on the kill count. I'm like,
yeah.
what?
Like that scene really made
Ooh.
me feel like, oh my gosh, I can't really watch this, or like, the
It
beginning of the film.
it gave you a cringe feeling when you see like an arm snap. To this day, anytime I see an arm snap or body part, just like
ooh.
I watched the whole Terrifier 2 bedroom sequence without even blinking. And I was
Yeah.
like,
I
okay.
love that thing. It just made me think.
I desensitized. I don't know
hey,
what
you know
it is.
that. I mean, that's fair. So
That whole scene was very 80s, like just back to
Oh.
their effects back in the day.
Oh yeah, like
When it comes to
chopping
gore,
and all that. So
very high tolerance.
real quick, I want to talk about the so one more scene. I think it was also in Evil Dead. It's the dancing Linda scene where it's just her head and it's her bone body. Like
Yeah.
that scene just to this day, like,
Here's your number.
and again, since this movie came out in '87, we do get to see that little nod to Nightmare on Elm Street with when Ash is in the shed getting ready to
Ready, go.
Yep.
put Linda's head in the vice and everything, which I do like the continuity they did in the Evil Dead TV show. But I like seeing that little the Freddy Krueger claw.
Was it like a little homage to
Yeah.
the film?
Yeah, because we would see because I think what we would see an Evil Dead 2 poster in a
Yeah.
future Freddy
No,
film.
I think she's
No,
watching it on
yeah.
TV.
Oh.
Yeah, she's watching it.
Oh yeah, she's watching. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she Nancy is watching the Evil Dead film.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Because Freddy came out in '83, I think. So just like in the last one, Countess and Moth Daddy, what are your final initial thoughts on Evil Dead 2?
My favorite of all three of them, only to be toppled by Ash versus Evil Dead. Because as weird as it sounds, I actually like the series as my top favorite. But I don't know if that's just because it's a pick of all three. But the second one is my top tier favorite.
Same question for you, Moth Daddy. What are your final thoughts on
I
this film?
really enjoyed the second one. It brought like, you know, a new comedic spin to the film without losing too much of the horror value in it as well. Second favorite for sure, you know, as I've stated. The third one is like my all-time favorite, but
I hear you.
you know, and I think they did well with the series too. So second, it was very good, very good.
Also, can I pause for a minute just to be like, damn, Elsa, you chugged that shit. Don't think I didn't see that.
Hydrated, okay?
I just saw her.
Listen, Bruce has us dehydrated.
She just chugged a whole bottle of whatever that was right then during your answer.
Back to my answer. The film was amazing. Again, highlighting, you know, great comedic spin, but still keeping the classic horror in there.
Oh yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I think still kind of miffed on how they. Well, again, when we talk about the third film, we'll also explain why the ending from the sequel was slightly changed. Was slightly given a new opening for the third one. Luxe, overall thoughts on Evil Dead 2?
I like Evil Dead 2 the way I like Halloween Kills. I like Evil Dead 2 because it expands on the first idea and makes it so much campier. It involves so many more people, and I think really flushes out the entire story of, or at least a little more understanding of the Necronomicon. I love it. It's not my favorite, but I recognize its important and hilarious space that it establishes in the Evil Dead universe, because it is, when we think of the comedy side of Evil Dead, far extreme side to this point has been Evil Dead 2. And I want to see an Evil Dead that pushes Evil Dead 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at it real quick. The budget for Evil Dead 2 was 3.5 million, and at the box office it only made 5.9 million. It wasn't well received. I mean, again, again, you
All the
know,
movies I like, just to go on record, are usually like that. They
Yeah.
don't kick off till way later in their prime.
oh yeah, no. On Elsa, after your initial thoughts altogether on Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2, one of the best comedies of horror that I can say. Is very it's just like one of those goofy movies that I gotta watch again, but this time a little more up the ante of
I may have to watch that myself because it's free on Xbox.
yeah, I have PlayStation. A little more higher, if you get what I mean. So I gotta watch it a little bit more high and see how that turns out. But at the same time, even without being high, it's like one of the greatest.
Woo! Are you sure you're not high right now?
Only a little.
Maybe. Okay, no, I can't. I work again. If I could, I would. But it's more of the adrenaline of having those unexpected things, like the stunts as well as the animatronic that people apparently love.
I feel like we should do a segment where we all just pick a movie we haven't seen before, get high as fuck, and then just commentary it.
Ooh. I mean, you've seen people do the whole again, Dead Meat, they did the whole drunk Disney thing where him and James and Chelsea got drunk and watched Snow White.
Oh, we
Or
should...
like what was it? Drunk History?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I love watching Drunk History.
Ooh.
Wait, we should do that. Like get drunk.
Oh, I'm not gonna do it for YouTube, but like, you know, just a regular Zoom meeting where I don't put it on YouTube. Anyway,
Yes, it would be
ignore
a
that.
scene.
Ignore cut. I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna cut that part out.
Chainsaw, chainsaw.
Oh, I'm just gonna cut that out. Just show rainbows and puppy dogs.
No,
So
you should show. No, wait. You should show Pacha, the little chainsaw dog.
maybe we'll see. Next up is Evil Army of Darkness, which came out literally 5 years later after this film. It was it came out in, not even pronounce that word, October 9th, 1992, in a place I can't even pronounce. In the United States, it came out February 19th, 1993 in the States. Its budget was 11 million and it made 21.5 million, and it was distributed by Universals. So this is like the third time that the the first two Evil Dead films went through 3 different filming companies. Just like, good God. So again, it explains the, so again, we get a quick recap. We know what happens. He gets transported into this medieval world. And at the end of the second film, he gets praised and everything. But in this one, that changes. He's less like, who is this man? He's bad. We need to take him as prisoner. We also get introduced to Bruce Campbell's luscious long locks in this one.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
He's got long, and that's actually, I think Bruce Campbell actually grew his hair out for that. That's no wig.
Yeah, that's his hair.
It's so weird for thinking about how we think of Ash. I'm sorry, or at least my current image or mental image of Ash. It comes from Army of Darkness,
I mean,
which to me,
just look at the poster.
oh, exactly, like that is
Sure,
Ash.
as a poster.
And this film was originally going to be rated R, but this is the first Evil Dead film to get a PG-13 rating. This movie got neutered the fuck by whoever.
It was more fantasy.
I mean,
Much more fantasy this round.
French vanilla fantasy.
All of our fantasies.
I'm looking it up
Yeah.
right now. This film was produced as a part of a production deal with Universal Pictures after the financial success of the 1990 film Darkman. Okay. Oh, that's the name of the unofficial Evil Dead film, Within the Woods. Came out in 1978.
Much different than Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
So I would love to see all the Evil Dead series made with Meryl Streep as
for Army of Darkness, it premiered at the Sitges Film Festival on October 9th, but then got a worldwide release. It received generally positive reviews. Since its video release, it has acquired a cult following along with the other two. Surely the film was dedicated to Evil Dead sales agent and Evil Dead executive Irvin. Also, this film was in honor of the Evil Dead 2 sales agent Irvin Shapiro, who died before the film's production in 1989. So that was a little nice. That was nice that they dedicated that to him. So yeah, Countess and Moth Daddy, what were your thoughts originally when you first saw Army of Darkness?
So like I've stated, this is one of my favorite films, and like it's very much because of the fantasy aspect of it. It was more dorky, more cheesy, with its effects. Still kept the comedic, value in it. Not as much horror in this one, obviously, but the effects are funny in this.
I actually didn't see this one till maybe like 10 years ago.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, like it's weird because I had seen parts of it like on TV, because I used to have I don't know if Cox Cable still has it, but it was a channel called Chiller, and they would just play rando horror movies.
I have never heard of that. It must be a thing down in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even know if it's still there. It was there when I was younger, but I remember a lot of my horror movies I would see would come from Chiller, and there's some horror movies where I'm like, oh, I've never seen it, and then I watch it, I'm like, wait, I've seen this before. It was on Chiller. This was one of those movies. I would see bits and pieces of it. It didn't catch my interest. It didn't even click on me. It was Evil Dead until I sat down and watched it as a whole, because I would always come in at the scene where he has the chalice cup thing, and I'm like, was this medieval, thing. Like, I'm bored of it. Then I watched it as a whole, and I was like, oh, okay, not my favorite. I actually think the effects and everything were a lot nicer. I'm very Team Universal whenever it comes to anything. I love Universal Studios.
I mean, they're the
So,
one company that introduced us to the Universal monsters
Yeah.
yeah,
back in
it's
like
just
back in the late 20s and early 30s.
it's just Paramount versus Universal when it comes to my
I'm gonna have to
selective
I'm gonna have
horror.
to go with Universal on this one.
Universal.
Paramount,
Yeah.
Paramount I'll like because of the Indiana Jones series, but horror wise, Universal.
Exactly.
We got Chucky because of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember too, like back at Universal Studios, they still have it now, but back in the day, there was like a horror walkthrough that they kind of showed you how all the effects and everything. And they did have a little shout out to Evil Dead in there.
Nice.
But it's not my favorite of the series. I'm very home to the second one, but it definitely was a very interesting take and probably the first horror series that I saw to jump ship and not claim itself as a horror film to go in a 360 sci-fi different route.
As Moth Daddy said, this was less horror and more fantasy.
Yes.
It just
Yeah.
that's why the name changed as well. That's why it's called Army of Darkness, not
I
Evil
thought it
Dead.
was a porn parody. Like it was so I was
Well,
like, okay, and I didn't even recognize Bruce Campbell in the film.
Oh yeah, no, again,
Very Fabio for this film.
Bruce Campbell was like in his mid 30s at this point.
Hmm
Again, this was 5 years literally after Evil Dead 2.
I was
and-
finally born.
Yeah, like I said, the film came out at a film festival in '92, and then like a few months later, it would come out to the States in '93.
Hmm
But like, yeah, no, this film went in a whole completely different direction, like less horror, more fantasy. And that at the time, the '90s were, the era, like I think the late '80s, early '90s were like the era of horror fantasy films.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness being one of them.
But the way that it was made, though, I feel was not even in the sense of like a horror. Because like when I think of like a horror fantasy, I think of like Pan's Labyrinth, like those kind of films.
Yeah.
This was complete 360, and I honestly can't even think of a series that had 360'd itself so intensely as
I
this
can't
film.
I can't think of one either at this.
And I don't think you could really make this into a gore level of horror as the first two if you even wanted
No,
to.
I mean there is like little to no blood, if at all. I mean, the only time we get any blood is a scene where one of the prisoners gets thrown into that well with a dead eye, and
Oh.
it's like it geysers out orange blood. Because at this point,
Yeah, they couldn't have red, and they changed the color, and it looks really weird. I feel like if any movie of the three original Evil Deads deserves just a tried and true full camp blown remake, it would be this movie. That, in my opinion,
I can with how much horror movies have come along, if they were to remake Army of Darkness, they could easily turn it into a straight up horror fantasy film.
Very much so, yes.
Mhm.
It was there's a lot of opportunity in that film.
Well, I mean,
to make
because the MPAA is not putting their dick prints over everything.
that's true.
Not like how they did back in because the the '90s and such, they were kind of like loosely letting, but then you get mid 2000s, you're getting these dark horror movies like the Texas Chainsaw remake, the Friday the 13th remake. Like they're like, oh yeah, no, we don't care. We'll show tits, ass, we'll show everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Blood, gut, spitting ass.
We'll even show a beaver shot or two.
Unless you're
that
freaking Megan Fox and what's her name? Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's Body.
She had prosthetic nipples over her real nipples.
Oh yeah, or I mean, again, a good example of just full blown not giving a fuck is Piranha 3D and Piranha 3 Double D, which
Oh, that one.
That's my bra size.
Anyway, Lux, when you first saw this film, what were your thoughts?
They weren't No.
There weren't thoughts.
I've never been one for period piece films. And that's across the board. Like I just can't hang with anything that's like not for like anything that's beyond something that starts with a 19. I'm not interested in. But
That's why you never
Here's the
read the
thing.
Bible, you uncle. No, I'm kidding.
that's why I look like this. No.
Which I do have to say, I also now just realize, see the sparkles on your hat and your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I like to Oh, now it's not doing it. Oh, there we go.
Yes, love it.
Sunshine babe.
Yeah,
But-
the
but
amount
there
of
are
time
some-
Lux puts in her outfits, like everything from a stone detail to a shimmer. Like I've seen her make some of these projects, and I'm just, oh my gosh.
Icon. She's an icon.
Oh yes, but yeah.
Yeah, San Diego is
As
definitely proud of her.
Thank you.
but yeah, as you were saying, your thoughts when you first heard of this
Yeah.
movie.
I mean, this film grew on me, and I share a lot of the same opinions that Moth Daddy does, because it's so ridiculous. I don't like how it again changes the rules of the Necronomicon, because I'm a girl for the you make a rule, you stick to it, and you don't change it. That's it. You now confine yourself, right? However, in this movie, I think they really push their creativity. I really like how they introduce some of the Deadites, but some of them feel really forced. And it's funny that you mentioned dead meat, because one of the things that James said was that this movie does horrendous introductions of Deadites because they feel so added in, because it's still trying to be an Evil Dead movie, even though it's practically not.
I think even
Yeah,
like I'm
they
sure
just
even like
slap 'em
Sam,
in.
I'm sure like even Sam Raimi will admit, yeah, this was just a shit show.
It almost feels like Halloween 3,
No,
but
Yes,
like
thank you. I was just about to say that.
We don't
Hey.
talk about Halloween 3 because that it's just like American Psycho 2. It should have been changed to something fucking else.
I love Halloween 3. How can you not like the
I'm a diehard.
I think that's what they kind of did again with this one. And horror movies are known for doing horror movie franchises are known for doing that. Like, yeah, we're gonna keep the name or we're gonna change the name. But for example, American Psycho 2 was completely almost the name of something else. Halloween 3 has nothing to do with the Halloween movies, but we did get to see the Halloween 3 masks and Halloween Kills, which was a nice little Easter egg.
Yes, and it's funny. So really weird side story. So I was watching. I had this Blu-ray copy of Halloween 2018, because I always like to buy my movies on Blu-ray. Weird movie collecting quirk. Anyway,
Nothing wrong
so
with that.
I have it, and then one day I watched it, and I recognized that the masks were in there, but they weren't in there the first time, and I'm like dead convinced that they had extra shots that they put into this Blu-ray just to make it seem cohesive with Halloween Kills. But if there's any Halloween movie that I think needs a legacy sequel, I think it should be Halloween 3, because I feel like I want to see what happened after the screen cuts to black. I want to see what happened when or if all those people actually did die that were watching.
Oh, when
Channel
they were
3.
trying to switch the No,
Yeah.
that oh god, that fucking song is so annoying.
It was my ringtone for the longest time.
Oh, of course it was. Elsa, thoughts when you first saw Army of Darkness?
Again, my what the fucks moments were the little army of ashes. Like,
London, my fair lady.
yes! And I was like, oh.
You beat me too, because that scene is funny when he's like
It is so
walking and he's like they gets tripped.
And then and then I believe it was the boomstick, like
This is my boomstick.
boomstick.
Shop smart. Shop smart. You hear me?
Yes, that part I could have just I literally laughed my ass off the couch, like a good 2 minutes.
It's a good movie, despite not being the most well known. Oh,
Here's our
Yeah.
surprise guest.
we always, yeah,
Creepy.
I always encourage people if they have a cat or any kind of pet, if they want to bring their cat on, they are more than welcome to show their pets.
We have a ton of pets, so don't say that.
There's only one right here today, though.
Hey,
That creepy.
it fits this theme.
He's diabetic.
Aww.
He's an old diabetic black cat.
But yeah, no, that scene. Also, real quick, who here has seen the Disney TV show Wizards of Waverly Place?
I grew up with it.
So you know the guy who plays as this versions of Merlin, the wizard guy.
Oh,
Whatever
yeah.
he is the old wizard guy in Wizards of Waverly Place.
Okay, I'll get into it. All right.
I think his name is like Professor Crumb or something. I can't remember.
Professor Crumbs, yes.
Yeah, that's the guy who plays the Professor Crumbs. He plays as the old white wizard guy in Army of Darkness, who tells Ash how you need to pronounce the words right, which
was a complete hilarious scene as well.
That whole scene, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit.
Oh God, I love that scene. Since we talked about like the special effects makeup, Moth Daddy, and when Autumn comes back, what were your thoughts on the special effects makeup and the costuming for this movie?
My apologies.
Oh, you're fine.
Hold on. Sorry, excuse me.
Oh,
All right, excuse us. Sorry.
I was busting out with that one. What's the question?
Literally, you were literally busting out with that. Oh,
you said I flashed everybody so hard, I forgot the question.
I know, right? That's where my brain is held. So,
like I've asked in the previous ones, and since this also takes place in medieval times, what are your thoughts on not only the special effects but the costuming as well for this one?
I'll be honest with you, it looked like the shit I would see at the Ren Fair. But like, it's a good thing though.
That's fair.
It's accurate.
What
I
about
mean, it was, again, like we go back to, it was very fantasy, so obviously the effects were just as
a 90s fantasy movie would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's bad. Like you can see strings.
I mean, and this and the
really
one
pay attention.
And the one thing about 90s fantasy movies, I don't know what it is, medieval fantasy, almost all the dudes have long fucking hair. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying almost every, and the blacksmith guy is some big burly bald dude with a mustache.
It's like the Fabio thing, like from like those novels, they're very like strong.
I mean that's what I mean. If you look at the Evil Dead, if you look at the Army of Darkness poster, it looks like something from a medieval
yeah,
like a love romance book.
Pretty much, it pretty much is, because this is also the first Evil Dead film to have a little bit more romance in it too.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I work in a sex shop, and I guarantee you if I put that movie in with our like fantasy movies, they would think it's a movie from my store.
Wholeheartedly, I'm sure they would.
Yeah, like the way it's advertised is not horror in any. If I didn't know what it was and you showed it to me, I definitely would think, oh, this is Fabio, and this is like,
No, I mean, if say like a 20-something-year-old was going to the shop who has never seen Evil Dead, I'm sure they were to look at Ash Williams on the cover of Army of Darkness, they would probably think it's a naughty movie.
They'd be like, "Ooh, look at that big fucking boomstick!" Like,
I mean, I would wholeheartedly love to see that boomstick.
Oh my goodness! Ooh. Is that a boomstick in your hand, Mr. Williams, or are you just happy to see me?
Either way, we're gonna have some fun.
Oh yeah. Lux. Lux, same question for someone who does. You make your own outfits, right?
I do.
So, and you also do makeup. So, what are your thoughts on not only the costuming but the special effects makeup in this movie?
I will tell you what, I am a slut for a theatrical costume, just because because I mean I came up in the world of theater, and I did a lot of productions like Army of Darkness, unfortunately. Um, but I love the costuming in Army of Darkness, because even though I can't hang with period pieces, I love period costumes,
Yeah.
and the way that the outfits are done and how everyone looks so accurate. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Here's a picture of like the background characters.
Yeah, there is a great attention to detail, in my opinion, especially for being a spiritual Evil Dead movie. How you've gone from 5 cast members to now you've got
Over
30 or 50.
hundreds.
Exactly,
Because of the background
exactly.
characters.
So I think it's really a ballsy and wonderful move on their part to branch off in this whole crazy direction. And I'll cite what we were talking about earlier with Halloween 3, how they had to make all the masks that were going to be featured in the movie, and all the costumes for the kids that were going to be wearing the masks, and then turning around and selling the masks after the movie was being distributed. I think that's so cool, and the fact that they took that step, they took that jump in, and did such a weird choice with the costuming, to me, is my favorite part of this movie.
Oh yeah, no. I think one of my favorite things in this movie is when we during the montage scene where Ash is having his glove made.
Mm.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
when he crushes the chalice, it's just like, and then the characters and the reactions of the background characters, like, ooh.
Groovy.
And I think also, before I go on to Elsa, I think one of my favorite lines is when Ash is being praised and everything, and he's in that room feeding the grapes, and what I can't remember her name is his love interest. Like, first you wanted to kill me, now you want to kiss me.
Oh.
Oh, such a good line. I don't know.
I think her name is Linda too, isn't it?
Something, because they
They
kind of
keep the name.
Yeah.
His girlfriend's
let
Linda.
me look. I can actually look that up real fast.
because I know through the TV series
They're all Lindas.
they're all Lindas. Like it's like a continuous joke. So
Oh
Yeah.
God, I'm actually looking it up right now.
Oh my God! Somebody come get me.
she goes by Sheila.
Oh, Sheila.
I mean that's close.
Sheila. Party on. Okay.
Elsa, same question. Thoughts on the special effects and the costuming in this film?
Well, being a person who likes a costume for all their life, I thought it was really marvelous. At the same time, it just has that little twist that sorry, my brain's about to like, I need sleep. It's just like we'll just have we'll have a little count saying how many times my brain has failed throughout this podcast.
You're fine.
But again, it's, I will say in my little part, it's just really creative. Like imagine someone who hasn't like had an opportunity get to do millions of costumes for this little production that is a big fan and favorite, as well as the frustration coming over me.
It looks like someone needs a nap.
Yes, it's called bedtime. I haven't had my nap today, so
Oh, I know you
Just
said you have to
keep
be.
the
I know you.
camera on while
I
you
know.
sleep,
I know you
it's
said you
fine.
have to be.
That's
I know you said you have to be off by 9:30.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
because work is fun.
Well, it's 9:18. Real fast. Would you like to drop your links real fast so people know?
Yes. Oh wait, did you say so somebody can find a fuck?
I said, would you like to
Did
drop
I
your
hear that
social?
correct?
I said, would you like to drop your social media links so people know where to follow you?
Okay, so if you can find
You are tired, girl.
leave me alone. I mean, I probably should have fuck. I should have had that cup of coffee.
So
Anyways,
yes, drop your social media links so people know where to find you.
yes. Can you say that one more time? I forgot what you said. I'm too tired.
Would
Where can we find
you
you, girl?
like to drop your social media links?
Drop your soul, swallow your soul.
Swallow your souls.
Oh, yes. Would you like to let people know where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram on _Ultimate Phantom _ or on TikTok, which is Ultimate Phantom. If not, just find me on Wayne's channels, and I'm just there. Just that one person who doesn't know how to talk.
All right. Well, we better let you go, Elsa, so you can get some sleep for work tomorrow.
Yep. I can't wait to deal with Karen's tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Deadites
All
in
right.
themselves.
All right. Well, you take care,
Yeah.
Elsa.
You
It was
take
nice,
care,
It was
guys.
nice having you on.
All right, bye.
Bye, babe.
Bye.